Just don't hit the table.
I can't hit the table. So we're doing both audio and video of this week's Two Gays and Jays podcast with gay voice number 1.
Gay voice number 2.
Okay. And my rant of the week this week is talking about people who are driving and they will pull out. You'll be driving, you'll be coasting along, and then all of a sudden you'll see a car pull out in front of you. And there's no cars. I think what makes me more mad about it than pulling out is that there's no cars behind you.
Right.
So if they could have just fucking waited until I was gone,
one more car,
it would have been so good. So that happened to me like 3 times today, actually, when I was coming home from the gym, and I was just like, oh my God. And 2 rules to know if you're going to get behind somebody that's going to drive 5 under the speed limit or the speed limit is if they have a bird on their license plate, or if you can't see their head above the seat. You know it's about to be bad. You know it's about to be bad. You know it's about to be real slow. You're going to be going 5 under or the speed limit.
Yep.
Maybe. Trash. So don't do that. If you see a car coming but no cars behind that car, just wait until that car goes and then you can pull out. Okay?
Yeah, like your dad should have.
We're getting vulgar on this show. All right, this week's episode.
Are you ready for this?
I guess.
I put a lot of work into this week's
I know,
episode.
she really did. There were a lot of things on this.
We never make notes.
No.
And I made lots of notes.
There are a lot of things that I learned that I did not know.
Yeah, me too, when I was typing this up.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This week is going to be about labels, and personally, labels are not really an important part of my story and me being gay personally. I just think that when you give somebody a label, it puts you in a box, and most people don't want to be in boxes. Right. However, I can understand why people would want labels, because it makes them feel more comfortable. They want to identify. It makes them feel like they're a part of something. So yeah. I don't dislike anybody that does label themselves. I mean, if I were to label myself, it'd be
us.
Yeah, I mean, I would label myself as a gay person, a gay woman. But I don't necessarily get offended if somebody says, lesbian or
butch,
stud. Yeah, I mean, I just am kind of like, really? But other than that, I mean, people need labels to make themselves feel comfortable, so I respect it. And today we're going to talk about labels with lesbian women and gay men. So there were things that I didn't know existed, and times have fucking changed.
Yeah, I actually, when we were going through some of this, some of the terms that, we used when I first came out have changed into terms that kids are using now, and that I did not know.
All right, so we're going to start
with the first one.
Did you hear someone yell?
I heard a cat crying. I don't know what I heard.
We don't have a cat.
Well.
All right, so we're going to start with the gay women, okay? We have the activist lesbian, and she is characterized by her passion for social justice, especially as it pertains to being a lesbian. Mm-hmm. So those, would you call it a feminist, maybe?
Pink hat wearing. Yeah, I mean, you could. It's more, I think, geared towards equal rights for gay women than it is just women, but I think a lot of them would consider themselves feminists if you talk to them. They're the kind that are going to go to the rallies and hold up the signs, and I didn't know it was like a term that women used, though, because I've never heard someone be called an activist lesbian. I didn't know. A feminist, maybe, but not an activist. That's a new one for me. I've never heard it before.
Yeah, that's new for me too.
But it was on multiple because I looked at multiple articles just to like compare them, and it was on every single one that I looked at.
That's pretty sweet.
So,
All right, you want to read the next one?
yeah. So this one, this is one of the ones that I was talking about when we first came out. We referred to them as lipstick lesbians. They're now called femme lesbians. And that's just someone who loves to dress in a highly feminized, or girly manner.
Did you feminate your lawn? That's what it said.
Fuck off. I can't read. I didn't know I was gonna have to read this. Yeah, so I would say that lipstick and femme.
So they don't call them lipsticks anymore?
They call
Is that
them
like
femme.
offensive?
I don't think it's offensive. I think it's just changed.
Got it.
You know, when I first came out, I would have said my type is lipstick.
Yeah.
But now I would say my type is femme.
Femme. Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think it's just changed. I don't think there's a reason for it.
The next one is chapstick lesbian. Dividing the line between lipstick and a butch. So I guess
either way.
Yeah, they can go either way. So STEM lesbian, I personally have heard it from my students, a STEM lesbian, which is
so the chapstick
an
is
in-betweeny, pretty much.
Chapsticks are
In-betweeny.
now called, again, this is something that's changed. Chapsticks are now called stems.
I've never even heard of either one of them.
Really?
No, I've never heard of
All right.
chapstick.
Oh, well, I've heard of chapstick.
I've never
I
heard
didn't
of STEM
hear
either.
of STEM until I downloaded TikTok. But it's what the kids use nowadays. So it's someone that can dress girly or they can dress like us.
So Ruby Rose?
Yes. Would it be a STEM?
Okay.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah. I would just see, and this is like maybe my age showing, but I would just like be like, yo, she's androgynous, I guess. Is that even like a term that anybody uses anymore? Or is that just
It is, but that's not what it means. Androgynous does not go for gender.
so genderless?
Genderless.
Okay.
Whereas STEM, it literally is called a STEM because it's stud and femme, and they just put the two words together. And
But
then
it's
STEM.
feminine.
No.
Well,
You
because
can do
it's
either.
No. But it's directed towards a female, is what I'm saying.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Whereas androgynous is not.
Correct.
Androgynous is just
And the way that
gender
you
fluid.
dress as an androgynous person
Yeah.
is gender fluid. It doesn't represent any gender.
Fair enough.
So that would be the difference.
Mhm.
So then the next one is butch or stud. They mean the same thing. So tough, makeup free, and masculine to one degree or another. Doesn't mean she's trying to look like a man. She's just subverting your idea of what a woman should look like. So we are technically, we would fit in the category of stud or butch.
See, but can I be honest with you? When I think of studs, though, the way that they're perceived through social media, especially memes about studs, is more like they're the fuckboys of the lesbian community. Where they're the players, they're the ones who cheat on everybody. They're the ones who... I'm just going off of, like, things that I've seen on social media. It could be different. That's why I don't really like to perceive myself as... I wouldn't classify myself as a butch or stud. Whereas somebody else would see us and probably say, you know, they're studs or they're butches. But that's because they don't know us. So...
Yeah, I mean, and there are subcategories to all of these. Because, you know, you've got your, like... Your people that think butch means, like, real hard. Real masculine. Which I think we're more like a soft butch, to be honest. Which is a subcategory that I just didn't put on here. We would be more considered soft butch. Stud, I think, is changing. I think stud represents more so like a confidence. Not necessarily like a player.
Yeah.
But like someone that's confident, and that's kind of how I view it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that someone who classifies themselves as a stud means they're a player, because they could be a stud.
No, I'm just saying, like, the things that I've seen on, like, Instagram, like, memes that
See,
are
and I've
directed
seen
towards studs.
And I've seen the opposite. So, to me, studs have always, everything I've ever seen, stud is just someone who's confident.
Alright. Well,
Because I still see the term fuckboy
with what?
when it comes to lesbians.
Like a classification of a lesbian?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I always just thought a fuckboy was just like one of those dudes that is just like, you know, got the
eyebrow slit?
the eyebrow slit and the, you know, they wear like, I don't even know. They wear like the matching suit, like the whole like thing, and they're players, you know.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Fuckboys are players, but
Or they wear the pants with the words on the crotch. Like, that's a fuckboy.
Right. Yeah. But that's also very in right now. And every type of lesbian is wearing that stuff.
You will never catch me with words on my crotch.
No, me either. But
nobody needs words.
It's all the rage on social media.
On their crotch.
All these little baby gays are wearing them. With the eyebrow slits and the dangling earrings. We're gonna do it next.
I just don't understand.
That's what we're gonna do on this video. We're gonna put slits in.
I just don't understand. It's just
We
something
can
I
make it
don't
work.
understand. No, we can't make it work. The next one is a stone butch. So a butch lesbian who derives sexual pleasure from giving other women pleasure. A giver, not a receiver.
So when I first came out, that would have been something that I would have identified with.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of it before.
But I've never heard of it before.
What do you think the stone means?
I don't know. I don't know why they would have chosen the word stone.
Yeah, I don't understand. Because they're tough. They got a tough exterior, like a butch lesbian. But like, it doesn't really have anything to do with like giving it and not receiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have no idea. But
That's interesting.
and I've never heard it before either. But I've seen it. I saw it on multiple lists.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently it's prevalent somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, never heard of it before.
I think they're just called tops now.
Yeah, that's what I would probably say.
I would just call them a top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Right, the next one?
boy. So B-O-I, not B-O-Y.
Yeah.
In both the gay and lesbian community, this is a term that they use, but for lesbians, you're biologically female, but presents as looking boyish, tend to date older partners.
See, they had me until you date older partners.
That last part, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But apparently, it's a yeah.
That's crazy. Older partners.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, they had me
So-
up until that point.
That would be like. Are they talking about people that are like sugar babies? And like sugar mamas?
You'd be a sugar boy.
But you'd be a sugar boy?
A boy.
I'd be okay with being a sugar boy.
B-O-I. Sugar boy.
Boy.
A B-O-I.
A B-O-I.
The next one is a power lesbian. She has her shit together. The leader in her field. The top of the tops.
Yeah, so like I think some of the examples would be like if they were a lawyer, they'd be like the best lawyer, or if they're a police officer, they're like the best police officer.
Mm.
They're just hardcore. But again, I've never heard this term. I've never heard. So like Ellen would be a power lesbian,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I would consider Ellen. I'm trying to think of who else. It's like the top of the top. Who else? I'm not really good with like famous lesbians.
There's that new one.
Brittany Griner, I would say she's a power lesbian.
Yeah, she's a power. Megan Rapinoe.
Oh yeah.
She would be her and Sue Bird would be power lesbians.
See, now
that's a power couple.
That
oh,
is.
Ali Krieger and Ashlyn Harris, royalty just got married. They're power.
Yep.
Power couple.
There we
for
go.
sure.
We figured it out.
We figured it out. We got this. All right, next one.
I know a lot of these.
I love this. Yeah, we do.
I know a lot of these.
A lot of these. Never heard it before, but a has-been.
You can already guess what it means.
So
the dogs are barking. I'm sorry.
A woman who once identified as a lesbian but now dates men and doesn't identify themselves as straight. But they also don't identify as bi. What does that mean? I have questions. I have so many questions.
See, actually, I would have guessed a has-been would have been someone who, like, hooked up with women and dated women, but never identified as a lesbian. That's, like, the first thing I thought of when I saw has-been.
Yeah, no, that's not it.
That's not it. So, like, someone who's gay, who says they're gay, and then
who says they're a lesbian,
right? A while ago.
While they're dating women, but then they switch to men, but they don't identify as straight because they did date women, but they also aren't bi. So, in my opinion, they're just fucking gender fluid. Like it doesn't matter. So what would that be? Like a pansexual?
Yeah.
A has-been?
Yeah, has-been. I like my definition a lot better just because it makes more sense in my opinion. You know what I mean?
A pansexual, but pansexual
they like
but
personalities.
But pansexual also encompasses transgender, and this doesn't have anything to do with transgender. That's also two I didn't put on here.
What? Pansexual
and asexual.
Yeah. Well, those are ones that I think that are more common, right?
They are. But
these are, I mean, honestly, like 90% of these I haven't heard of.
Right.
Because
this next one,
I have heard of this. Now that
No,
because we had a bunch of girls in college that it was like this.
Do they work on cars like lug nuts?
She's a lug. She's a lug.
She's a lug.
So yeah, the next one is lug, is a lesbian until graduation. So I'm sure most of you,
but what surprised me about it is the next part.
The lesbian curious could be a phase or maybe not.
Because it's literally saying lesbian until graduation, but after graduation they're open to continuing to date women. So why identify as a lug? I don't understand.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the people who are doing it identify as a lug. I think people on the outside who see them identify them as a lug. Like there were plenty of girls that if I try to talk to them in college, my friends would be like, "Oh, don't talk to her. Like she's a lug. Like she's only gonna date you until she graduates, and then she's probably not gonna date you. Or if she does, it's gonna be really difficult and complicated and yada 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 yada." So I don't really think this is
a bunch of those at Cedar Point. I wonder what we would have called them.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I'm a lesbian while I'm at Cedar Point.
I'm a lesbian while I'm at Cedar Point. Yeah. I mean, I feel that's like with anywhere. Like whenever you're in a community where it's a small community, a small little bubble, like going to a small college that I did.
But once you get outside of that.
Yeah, then they don't.
They change up.
Yeah, they just don't feel comfortable, I think, with
the
situation. So, yeah, I don't really think this is that's label that the person gives himself. I really think it's a label
Yeah.
that somebody else gives them because
That's-
they've seen them
that's
in
accurate.
the act.
Right. The next one, sport dyke, isn't characterized so much as being attracted to other women as much as she is obsessed with her sport of choice.
That would have been me in high school.
That would have been me my entire life had I been out, because I lived in I lived and breathed softball. I mean, I talked about softball, I played softball, everything. Had I been out at that time, I would have been a sport dyke, because I wouldn't have cared about women. I was busy playing softball, and you would have been the same way with basketball.
Yeah, that's what I tell my students when they talk about dating people. I'm like, don't be dating nobody in high school, man. Go worry about your sports. Go worry about your grades. Go worry about whatever activity that you're involved in. Because I was like, these girls and these boys ain't gonna be paying your bills.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
And they're also not gonna make it.
They ain't gonna get you into college.
Uh-uh.
You gotta get yourself there. Yeah, I would have been a sport dyke if this would have existed when I was in.
It's also
High
a
school.
term I've never heard before.
Never heard of it. Mm-mm.
All right, next one I have heard of.
Yeah,
I
you
use
introduced this to me.
Well, I don't call it this.
Well, and you know, when I've said it, people have, especially like my girlfriend, she was like, well, isn't that offensive? And I was like, well, we've kind of reclaimed the word dyke.
We have.
So,
But I still
It's
I
not-
still would rather use the word gay. So I would change this name
yeah, baby gay.
to baby gay and not
Yeah.
baby dyke.
So it's baby dyke. It's a fond title given to a woman who has just come out of the closet and started becoming part of the community. So more so younger lesbians that just came out, or even older ones that have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really has anything to do with age, because I have heard, like, if you've got a group of friends and you're all older and, like, she gets out of a marriage and they'll still call her a baby gay. But
See,
I
my
think,
students use it as young lesbians.
well,
So-
that's going to be the more
That's
prevalent
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
you use it. I mean, it's going to happen more often
Yeah.
when you're younger now
Yeah.
than when we
Well,
were.
because this, like, we, honestly, like, I don't even think of this shit. I don't even think of, I'm, like, so far beyond labels at this point, and like I said earlier, like, I don't disagree or dislike when people use them. It's just I'm so far past it now because I've already come out, I've already
Yeah.
kind of established my situation and the way that I am.
Yeah, I think
I don't
when-
feel like I don't feel like I connect with any of these because it's just not me.
I would have, like, right after right after I first came out, I would have identified more because I needed to. And we talked about that
I mean,
already.
these are super helpful for people.
These are terms that we lived by, not all of them, but like labels and identifying like what type of lesbian that we were or what we wanted to be called before there was all of these different terms. It was so different when we came out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm not that old, but like it's so different from when we came out to now that it's like two different worlds.
It is.
You know, you get on social media and there's just gays everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came out, it was like, where are all the gays at? Couldn't find them. The only way you found them is if you like went to specific places. Like I worked at Cedar Point. A lot of gays worked at Cedar Point, so like I found them that way. But then you leave there and it's like, all right, well, where's everybody at? Now you get on social media and it's just everybody just out here gay.
Mm-hmm.
So they got lots of new titles.
Yeah, I also think that that's why that coming out and just like being gay in general is far more beyond accepted than it was when we came out, because
For sure.
whereas like I was talking to my girlfriend about this too, that labels not only make the person who is giving themselves the label feel comfortable, but it also makes other people who may not understand the gay community or whatever, it makes them feel more comfortable. And I know that's like weird to say, and we shouldn't have to make other people feel comfortable. But think about it. If you could sit and say, like, this is what I am, and this is what describes me, it makes that other person that maybe might not be as accepting and understanding. It might make them be like, oh, okay, like, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when we came out, it was just like, well, what does that mean? Like, are you going to be gay forever? Is this a phase? I don't understand. And then when you have things like this, it's way more specific than just saying, like, I'm gay. So, whereas labels are helpful for the person that is owning the label, it's also important for the people that don't understand, because it gives more specifics to them. And I don't think we owe people who don't understand, we don't owe them shit. But at the end of the day, labels work in both ways, and I think it's super helpful, and that's why I think that being gay is not as far-fetched as it was and looked down upon as it was when we were younger and we came out. You know what I mean? So that's Baby Dyke. The next one is Diesel Dyke. A butch lesbian who drives a big rig or other heavy equipment. We've seen a lot of these. These are these are old school lesbians.
Old
these are
school
like
lesbians. These are our like ancestors. Like these are the people that paved the way for us to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll be looked at the same way eventually. But like when I think of a diesel dyke, I think of someone who like rides a motorcycle and is like hard
has a cut off flannel on with no shirt underneath it.
Yep.
And denim shorts.
But diesel dykes are fading out because they're not like when the older generation was coming out, they needed to like I feel like they needed to like stand out. And that was one of the ways that they did it. Like, lesbians were just looked at as, like, these hard women that didn't have emotions and were, like, real tough. And
man-haters.
And so that was kind of, like, what they became. And it's not, I mean, as you can tell, you can be anybody and be gay now. All these labels, all it's doing is describing the different type of people that are gay now. Yeah. Whereas when you thought of lesbian, like when I was younger, that's what you thought of, a diesel dyke.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
Yeah, and you didn't want to be associated with that. Well, yeah, and like
I couldn't. No,
And that goes back to what I've been saying. Like, labels make people feel more comfortable. And when we only had these type of when you thought of lesbian, like you just said, that's who you thought of. And I'm sitting there like, bro, I don't look like that. I don't have a Harley.
I'm not driving a Harley. No.
No, I don't have a big truck.
I'm not shaving all my hair off.
No, I don't have a mullet.
No.
I mean, maybe at one point.
Maybe.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. It's just like...
No, you're completely right, because, I mean, we had to create new labels because we didn't want to be labeled that anymore, because, you know, diesel dyke to me has always had, like, a negative connotation to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one we've got...
Yeah, you read that.
So...
I don't understand.
On social media, there is, I guess... a type of lesbian. They're emo lesbians, which I didn't even know emo was a thing anymore. Is it?
Yeah, right. It is.
But they're also called, like, e-girls and e-boys.
Like an e-cig?
Like, it's just short for emo girl. But, like, they're... Yeah, it was real bad. We're gonna skip over it. So yeah, everybody knows what emo means because we all went through, like, if you're our age, you went through an emo phase. I know I did.
You have to. I think it makes you a better person if you've gone through an emo phase.
I had the black
eyeliner. If you didn't wear band t-shirts and a whole bunch of, like,
AC/DC.
plastic bracelets for no reason, and have a studded belt or a white studded belt or a big belt buckle, Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, were you really even living? I mean, that's just an important. That's a clutch.
If you talk to any lesbian
era.
our age, they went through the emo stage, guaranteed.
Yeah, you had to. It's like a rite of passage.
It is. So like, yeah. I guess they're called e-girls now. So.
All right, whatever.
Whatever.
Pillow queen. I've heard of this term too.
I've been with a lot of pillow queens.
A lot of pillow queens. This isn't anything new. It's just someone who receives and doesn't give. Yeah. I just would call that selfish. I think you're a greedy motherfucker is what I think.
See, like, when I first came out, I was not comfortable with receiving.
Yeah, so
just
you
because
wouldn't
I
have been a
felt-
pillow queen.
No, but
The people that you're with.
the people that I was with would have been a pillow queen because...
Did they try though?